Today's story is called Tar Beach and it's by Faith Ringgold. There's our title page. Oh, actually, I guess that was just the opening page. Here's our title page. And here's our dedication. My first book is for my mother, Madam Willie Posey, who took me to Tar Beach and everywhere else, if she could be here now. And for my three grandchildren, Faith, Theodora, and Martha, they are all strong readers and can fly. And for my children, Michelle and Barbara, they are women now, but I knew them when. And for my husband, Burdett Ringgold, who keeps my feet on the ground, it is he who reminded me about Tar Beach after all these years. I will always remember when the stars fell down around me and lifted me up above the George Washington Bridge. I could see our tiny rooftop with Mommy and Daddy and Mr. and Mrs. Honey, our next door neighbors, still playing cards as if nothing was going on. And BB, my baby brother, lying real still on the mattress, just like I told him to, his eyes like huge floodlights tracking me through the sky. Sleeping on Tar Beach was magical. Lying on the roof in the night with the stars and skyscraper buildings all around me made me feel rich, like I owned all that I could see. The bridge was my most prized possession. Daddy said that the George Washington Bridge is the longest and most beautiful bridge in the world and that it opened in 1931 on the very day that I was born. Daddy worked on that bridge, hoisting cables. Since then, I've wanted that bridge to be mine. Now I have claimed it. All I had to do was fly over it for it to be mine forever. I wear it like a giant diamond necklace, or just fly above it and marvel at its sparkling beauty. I can fly, yes. Me, Cassie Louise Lightfoot, only 8 years old and in the third grade, and I can fly. That means I am free to go wherever I want for the rest of my life. Daddy took me to see the new Union building he is working on. He can walk on the steel girders high up in the sky and not fall. They call him the cat. But still, he can't join the union because Grandpa isn't a member. Well, Daddy is going to own that building because I'm going to fly over it and give it to him. Then it won't matter that he's not in their old union or whether he's colored or a half-breed Indian, like they say. So you're flying over. He'll be rich and won't have to stand on 24-story high girders looking down. He can look at his building going up. And Mommy won't cry all winter when he goes to look for work and doesn't come home. And Mommy can laugh and sleep late like Mrs. Honey, and we can have ice cream every night for dessert. Next, I'm going to fly over the ice cream factory just to make sure that we did. Tonight, we're going to Tar Beach. Mommy is roasting peanuts and frying chicken, and Daddy will bring home a watermelon. Mr. and Mrs. Honey will bring the beer and their old green card table. And then the stars will fall around me, and I will fly to the Union Building. I'll take Bebe with me. He has threatened to tell Mommy and Daddy if I leave him behind. I have told him it's very easy. Anyone can fly. All you need is somewhere to go that you can't get to any other way. The next thing you know, you're flying among the stars. And there's a picture of them on the roof. Tar Beach is a story quilt by Faith Ringgold. It combines autobiography, fictional narrative, painting, and quilt making in one art form. It was completed in 1988 as the first of 5 quilts in Ringgold's Woman on a Bridge series and is set in the collection of Solomon R. Guggenheim Museum in New York City. Faith Ringgold has been a painter since the 1950s, and in the 1970s she began to work in soft sculpture, collaborating with her mother, Willie Posey Jones, a fashion designer and dressmaker, who had major influence on her interest in quilts. Willie Posey described watching her grandmother, Betsy Bingham, boil and bleach flour sacks to line the quilt she sewed. Susie Shannon, Betsy's mother, was a slave in antebellum Florida who made quilts as part of her duties. Ringgold's quilt designs echo the African influenced, repetitive geometric design characteristics of many early American quilts. As Ringgold became more interested in telling stories as well as in painting and quilt making, she began using quilts as vehicles for her stories. Most of her quilts concern the experience of the Black female in America. Cassie, the narrator of Tar Beach, dreams of being free to go wherever she wants for the rest of her life. Flying is how she will achieve her dream, echoing an important motif in African American folk tale literature, in which slaves told of flying to freedom as wish fulfillment or as a metaphor for escaping from slavery. References to more contemporary African American history are also part of the story. Ringgold alludes to the practice of excluding African American and Native Americans from unions in her description of Cassie's father, who was not allowed in the union because he was colored or a half breed Indian, like they say. Minorities, even those used by trades for skills such as high steel work, could be excluded from unions on the basis of the so called grandfather clause. If a man's father was not a union member, that was grounds for keeping him out too. Cassie fulfills Ringgold's vision of a Black female doing heroic, creative things, for it is Cassie who has the power to emancipate her father. But Tar Beach is not a work of history, it is fiction, the transformation of Ringgold's memories of childhood. Ringgold was born and still lives in Harlem. Her family often went up to the roof on hot summer nights. Adults played cards, children ate and stayed up late, lying together on a mattress. The childless couple, who always seem to have more money than the families with children, are represented by Mr. and Mrs. Honey, named because, as Ringgold says, it was always honey this and honey that. The site of Tar Beach is the rooftop of a neighboring apartment house that Ringgold sees from the window of her Harlem apartment. The bridge is the George Washington Bridge, which Ringgold calls her bridge because it has been part of her view all of her life. The picture book Tar Beach shares many elements with Ringgold's story quilt. The text, originally written on fabric strips around the border of the quilt, has been altered slightly for stylistic and textual reasons. Ringgold created entirely new paintings for the book using acrylic on canvas paper, similar to the canvas fabric she used in the original quilt painting. The page border is reproduced from the original story quilt, and the background material for the text is the same canvas paper Ringgold used in her paintings. And there she is with her brother flying. All right. That was fun. You can see at the bottom of every page that repeating pattern they were talking about from the quilt. That was Tar Beach by Faith Ringgold.